Welcome. I'm going to be talking about software planning. I'm going to just mention, just for the sake of everyone, I've taken all my own photos for today. So if you have one you like, let me know. I can send it to you, I guess. I don't know what, But yeah, software planning, bit of an odd discussion for Yorkshire Azure user group. I think everyone would hopefully agree a little bit. Basically, about last week, Ethan said, "Hey Ed, can you present? We need a speaker." So I was like, "Yeah, sure," and I submitted this off the back of discussion with my people lead. Basically, it's come to my attention recently that I work in an odd way, and apparently most people don't plan out projects in the same way I do, so I thought I might as well just go through it. Everyone on board with that? Yeah? I've got a few nods. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's good enough for me. So, a bit of context. Another lovely picture, as you can see. First off, assuming you all were here and not asleep, you might recognise I'm from the Accenture call out earlier. We're still hiring. As a consultant, I'm currently working on an enterprise project. And just, show of hands. How many of you have hands? I think is the first one. Just put your hand up if you have one. Yeah, that's most people. Okay, I'd call that a success. So can I see your hands again if you've had the joy of working on an enterprise software engineering project before? There's a few people. So for those of you who haven't, I just want to clarify some things first, because what I'm about to show you is complete madness if you're not working on enterprise software. First off, enterprise software is pretty much characterized by the amount of compromise which you have to make between various people, different approvals, policies, and so on. And when I say enterprise, I mean with big E, big old-fashioned. So your success is not often about the actual technical solutions, so much as it is appeasing the various gods who've approved to let you work on something for that day. So there's a lot of stakeholder satisfaction and other such things which come into play. The reason I say this is because, unfortunately, that does also impact how you have to do your work, as at the end of the day, well, if you don't get that, you've not got the project done as far as they're concerned, or at the very least, they're not happy with it. That said, I do wholeheartedly believe that engineers do make the right solutions for the problems they see. And a lot of the times, the sort of old not tech debt, what was I looking for? Like legacy systems you have to work with were made with the best intentions. Oftentimes, however, speaking as someone who's written quite a few legacy systems in my time as well, it's made with good intentions and the wrong requirements. So that brings us on to our next section, requirements engineering. Lovely stack of pebbles, by the way, as I'm sure you can all see. But yeah, so there's sort of two key parts to your requirements. You need to identify who your stakeholders are and know who actually cares about your software. And then you need to work out what they specifically want. I'm assuming these aren't new concepts to everyone. You've all heard these words before, yeah? I'm not going to belabor the point too much then. The main thing I do want to say, though, is make sure you know why people are your stakeholders. So to give an example of the current project I'm working on, we have a sandbox environment. To be honest, it's a bit shit. I blame the guy in the blue t-shirt at the back. If you can all turn and look at him disapprovingly, please. I only saw half the room do that. Come on.
The unfortunate honour of being the last person to have rebuilt it.
Yeah, that's true. Again, made a good solution to the problem. Unfortunately, I think it was the wrong problem, and also not enough buy-in. But we'll skip over that for a minute. And I am, of course, joking. He actually did an excellent job when he went through and did it. It's not working now anymore. But as a part of that, we have various stakeholders. We have the members of our team who are actually going to use it, and they're important because they can actually use it. Conversely, we've also got an IT security team and an architecture team separate to ours who will have to sign off. And so it's very important to know what each stakeholder is there for, because you shouldn't go speak to the security team about what the products look like, because they're going to give you something kind of unusable. Speak to your users, speak to the people who are going to use it to dictate that, and work backwards. So yeah. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my notes to remind myself what I was going to say at this point. So there's a really easy way for doing requirements discovery. Anyone guess? No?
Ask people?
Yeah, ask people. Anyone know what one of these is? Yeah? Take them for coffee. Go speak to people. It's genuinely, like, completely underrated, but just actually speak to people. It's just a very good way, especially if you can get them out of the office. People are usually a bit more frank with you and willing to tell you what's genuinely wrong with the situation, or what's wrong and needs improving and so on. But it's also important to discuss not just what people want, but what do they specifically not want. That's often skipped, but like I would say arguably as, if not more important to remember. So yeah. Other than that, useful technique is to just create a bad description based on it and send it to everyone. Usually they'll correct you. People are good at correcting stuff, so use that to your favour. Yeah, I'm going to move on because I think I'm belaboured the point enough. Is that fair to say?
Rage bait.
Rage bait is a peak technique, as long as you use it properly and don't go too bad. Yeah. Thank you for engaging, by the way. But yeah, once you got that, I've literally just put, and I quote, "Now you've got a clear review of what you want. Take a break, grab a tea, I don't know, whatever floats your boat." Basically, think about what you actually want to build. It's very important to know, like, not just what you think you can build and what steps you can take to do that, but what is your end state? What do you actually want to achieve? Because you're not going to achieve it, but if you don't know what it is, you're not going to be able to work towards it either. Another useful trick I've got here is just build it. Show of hands again, who has access to Copilot or some other AI code tool? Most people, yeah. You can build something in an afternoon, a day, make a bad version of it. But again, you can rage bait people with that. You can present it and say, this is what you're going to have. What do you dislike about it? What do you want improving? Which bits do you enjoy? Just generally, it's a good way of getting that feedback quick, getting it early, and being able to incorporate that into a design. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking through my things. Oh no, I've got a slide transition here. Here's another lovely picture. This one's of a castle. Don't ask me which one, I forget. But once you know the idea is not bad, you can actually go through and design it. I think it might be actually, now you said it, yeah. Because it's got the big courtyard out front. Yeah, I think you're right. Good spot. Yeah. So yeah, I've lost where I was on my notes now.
Trying to be engaging.
Thank you. I appreciate the engagement. You all love audience participation, right? Yeah. You all know how to do a wave, right? If you go like that across the room, yeah. Can we just if I go like that, can you go across? So starting this end, going across, yeah. You ready? Worth a try. We'll try it again, yeah? We'll try and keep you awake. In fact, can everyone just quickly stand up for a moment?
No?
No, I'm not joking. I would never joke with a room full of people. No, I didn't say sit down. No? Worth a try. Wow, I really need to split on my notes more to be able to find notes. So yeah, the idea is not bad. You know what you actually want to make. This is a difficult bit. You have to work out how that's actually going to become a real thing. Yeah, this is where a lot of policies and everything else can come into play. You get into getting approvals, that sort of thing. I wouldn't say it's the least fun part, but it's definitely the bit where stuff starts to become a bit more real and a bit less what would be nice to have. But yeah, I'm going to pretend I'm just going to skip over that entire section and get straight to planning. This is where you're actually here for. I don't know what my runtime is on so far. Hopefully I've not bored you all to death. Everyone still with me? Cool. You see, if this is where, if I was feeling really cool and I had lots of time, what time do we finish again?
You've got 15 minutes.
I've got 15 minutes. Okay, I can't do any too much audience participation. I was going to say, has everyone got a pen, laptop, that sort of thing? But let's skip past that part for now. Let's not turn this into a workshop. So this is the part where my notes also end. So whiteboard time. Everyone likes whiteboard time, right? So. This is where I realised I put the cable in the wrong way around, so we're going to just flash the screen black for a minute, and hopefully it'll come back. Cool. So I was going to do this based on my current task. Unfortunately, I've finished work and sat and had some pizza, so I've now completely, every thought continuing with that has completely left my mind. So I'm going to ask, can I get a volunteer to suggest some form of software project which they'd be willing to discuss for like 5 minutes? I promise I won't make you talk, I'll just ask questions. No? Oh, and it's died immediately. Excellent. You get to see me unlock it as well. No? Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate your dedication to keeping this talk going.
Okay, let's say, for example, I'm building a internal chatbot to book annual leave.
Sure, so I'm building an internal chatbot to book annual leave. Off the top of everyone's heads, can anyone just literally shout out, yeah, because I can't be bothered to point at raised hands, what different tasks might we need to do in order to build that?
Stakeholder requirements?
Pretend we've got our requirements. Okay, so we've got, I don't know, we need to immediately off to a great start, trying to draw with rubber. So, I don't know, we need to start a UI project, yeah? We need to go through, we need to create a integration on Azure AI Foundry because we've decided that's what we need, you know? And also now does everyone notice I've now written the word Azure, so we're now immediately in an Azure talk. Yeah? But basically, take your big task, break it down into these smaller ones, and what you can start doing is drawing little arrows, yeah? And suddenly what we've done is we've taken our plan, we've taken our ideas, and we've turned them into something, well, I would argue 3-dimensional, definitely at least 2-dimensional. Your third dimension is the description, by the way. No. By the way, we get our series of tasks, yeah? And what we now have is a directed acyclic graph. Everyone say woo for data structures. Woo. Yeah. An important part of them is they have a actual correct order. You can do what's specifically called a topological sort if you're feeling fancy. You can look at the arrows and arrange the boxes if you're not. Both works. But essentially, you've now got a very clear start to finish for your project. Yeah. This is where if I'd prepared a little bit more, I could have an actual example project to show you. So, you know, my bad. I'll make sure, Nicole, if I run this internally, I'll have actual slides for this bit, yeah. That being said, as we go through, what we're able to do when we get, I'm just going to draw a few extra boxes. Everyone just pretend I've come up with actual words to describe what these tasks are, yeah? Everyone pretending? Yeah? Would a drawing squiggle help if I put a squiggle in?
I don't think so.
No, okay, well, we can pretend. So we can go through, and one nice thing with this is it allows us to go, well, hang on a minute. Say this is, I'm making hopefully quite a safe assumption. Everyone's heard of story points before, right?
Yeah.
Just roughly how big the tasks are. Say we've got, these are 1s, this is a 2, this is a 5, this is an 8, whatever. One advantage of this when you're doing your plans is if you lay them out in this way, you're able to see roughly how long your work is going to take, and it allows you to visualize parallelization. So if you've ever tried doing a plan before, it's just a list of tasks. It's quite hard to go, this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 line dates. That's 17. This is 17 if you just add it up. Which, I mean, admittedly, being realistic, this would be overkill for that if that's an actual project. By the way, just show of I keep going for show of hands, but everyone who does use story points, 8 points is a sprint, right? Yeah, that's pretty standard-ish.
For us, anything bigger than 8 points needs to get split.
Yeah, fair enough. So this could actually be an example of how you might split down something which is like 17 then. But one advantage of breaking stuff out like this is we can see that we've got 1 point here, 2 points here, 8 points here. So actually, as long as we can get, again, this is a very bad example because there's an arrow here. So I'm gonna retroactively erase this arrow and say that that's actually our dependencies. Yeah. Well, if we've got this done in time, and then we do this, yeah, we're like 3 points in by this point, right? Is this still readable, by the way? Sorry, I realise this is getting very squiggly very quickly. Ethan, this is really not a good picture to take. So we've got 1 point here and 2 points here, yeah? So by the time this is finished, we're like at 3 points going down this arrow, right? And by the time we get to this point here, this will already be done. Sorry, I realise you can't actually see where I'm pointing. This will already be done because it takes less time than this one. Making sense so far, hopefully? Yeah? So what that means is if we then follow this here, by the time we have finished this, we can start this one, and we just need to wait for this one to be done. So we can take our path going down through from this point across, down and up, basically finding what is our longest path along this, and that will tell us the minimum amount of time we can run this project in. But also it helps in priority, because we know if there's any delay at any point along this path, that will cause a delay for the entire project. Whereas this one, that can kind of wait, as long as it's done before this one's done. Hopefully that all makes sense. This is a very brief and like jumping over overview of this, but yeah. Just checking on how I'm doing for time. I've got about 5 minutes left, so if everyone's okay with that, I'm tempted to just move on. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Cool. The only other thing I wanted to say was an advantage of planning out visually like this is it allows you to manage change a lot better. So once you've got a plan, well, like I say, well, no one told me about that. That's the
We thought it's planned.
the presenter view. Yeah. No, because then you can see what my next slide's going to be. It ruins some of the fun. There you go. So the level of jank is not planned, I should add. This is not sabotage, Ethan, I promise. Yeah. I mean, I put a quote down there. People like quotes, right? No plan survives first contact. But basically, the plans themselves we make are kind of useless, but the act of planning itself is. And plans do change. An advantage of mapping it out like that is if I say, going back to my diagram, oh God, this really is a mess, isn't it? If I have a change here, I can see that this depends on it, and this depends on it, so I know exactly what's going to be affected by that change, and it makes it a lot easier to, see what you need to update, essentially. And also, if you've got stuff written down, oh, this really is not back to normal. But basically, having an actual plan written down makes it a lot easier to go through and modify it later on. Final picture. I mentioned before about how if you take the longest line, that shows you how long your project's going to take. You can also effectively use that to see how far through you are, because actually any work you spend on time which is not there is not working against the constraint of the project as a whole. So it's kind of an illusion of progress rather than actual progress itself. But I feel like that's a very vague term, so I'm going to end there and let people think about that.
Have you got any questions?